Hello gamers and welcome back. I'm Rob, of course, or Warshack if you want to call me by my in-game name, and today we're going to be going over the Jade Golem Control Shaman deck guide. Because I released the Aggro Shaman deck guide for you guys, I felt pretty bad. I did not enjoy that deck guide, but I figured it needed to go out, so I'm going to redeem myself by a more control, mid-rangey Jade Golem cool style Shaman deck. A deck that both is fun to play, performs fairly well on ladder, and it is good. I would have to say is very consistent against some of the most popular decks out right now. Of course, it does the best versus the more Reno based decks, and it does still well against the aggro decks, but overall it has a good win percentage versus all decks around. With that said, for those of you who are unfamiliar with how we do our deck guides, we talk about the deck, why I have what I have in it. We do a brief discussion of every card in it, kind of how it synergizes and why I've put it in there. From there, we're going to head into some ranked games. We're going to talk about the mulligans. We're going to talk about the deck. We're going to talk about the who we're playing against, how to beat them, and most of the time we either go like 3-1, 4-0, somewhere in there. We normally always win 3, and the max we can lose is basically 1. So with that, let's head into the deck list, let's talk about the deck, and let's get it done. So with that said, double lightning bolt, this is almost a staple in any sort of shaman deck, due to the fact that there's a large quantity of aggro decks currently on ladder due to it being the end of the season. Remember, the meta when the meta shifts, so should your deck. So I believe lightning bolt, you can play 1, you can play 2. Currently I'm playing 2 right now, due to the fact that I need more early game, plus having burst is always nice. So that's why there's 2 of those. Synergizes, of course, well with the tunnel trog early on in the game. This deck does not contain the pirate package. I felt that is a little bit too cheap, and I with playing the aggro shaman deck, of course, it had the pirate package in there, and I didn't want to include it in every shaman deck we played, so I forgone the pirate package in this particular deck. And of course, because of that, we need to run tunnel trog. We need some of that early game oomph to allow us to survive. There's also no Spirit Claws. I felt that was a little bit too cheap too. This was a challenge deck to get it to work right, but this deck, as silly as it looks, and it's like, why wouldn't you have this? Why wouldn't you have that? It works out pretty well. And again, if you're looking for the highest win rate possible, of course, Aggro Shaman's going to be there for you. But if you're looking for a little bit something cooler and to not be playing the same old, disgusting Shaman list, to actually have to put on those try-hard panties, this is what you should look towards. The Blood Mage, because of how many spells are in the deck, plus it allows you to draw. This card fits very, very well into the deck, and you'll find that Blood Mage Maelstrom, Blood Mage Lightning Storm is a combination of cards that you're going to be using a lot, and it actually will most of the time win you the game, if not clear out creatures that are pretty annoying. The Jade Claws, this is Jade Golem Shaman, so due to that, we're playing as many Jade Golem cards as we can, with Jade Claws being one of the best in my opinion, due to the fact that this weapon is actually a battle cry. At first I didn't know that, but then I saw someone brand into Jade Claws and summon 2 Jade Golems, and I was like, holy shit, how they do that? I looked at the weapon, it says battle cry, so this actually synergizes well with brand. So on turn 5 you can actually brand Jade Claws, summon 2 Jade Golems. It's like, wow, how you doing? So card's exceedingly super good. Maelstrom Portal, I'm only running 1 of these. I found that the Lightning Storms right now are a little bit better due to the fact that this isn't aggro. Aggro more runs like double Maelstrom, no lightning. I found that because we're playing a more control mid-rangey deck, that the Lightning Storm it performs a little bit better, but I felt like throwing 1 Maelstrom in there because, again, early game is very important, and especially being able to Maelstrom Portal those very pesky 2-1s and 1-1s that kind of get in the way. Totem Golem, because we're running the Tunnel Trog and that Totem Golem is just good on its own. It's the 2-drop 3/4 Brute. This guy is a staple in the deck. Brand, because again we are playing Jade Golems, a lot of these cards have Battle Cry, whether you're looking at the Chieftain, the Black Paw, the Jade Spirits, the Jade Claws, anything like that, it's going to be able to synergize well, and being able to summon 2 Jade Golems is pretty important in this deck. Feral Spirits, due to the fact that you're basically summoning a 3-mana Druid of the Claw, you're getting a 4/6 in stats with Taunt, and it's split among 2 creatures. Is very, very nice. I know it's overload too, so technically you're paying 5 mana, but because you're paying the mana later on and rather than up front, what makes this card so very powerful. Hex, 2 of these guys. Again, this is more of a slow base shaman. We're not really trying to burst them out, which means we have room to fit in single target removal like Hex, so your opponent drops Aya, or they drop 4-drop 7/7, or they just play anything you just don't like. You spend 3 mana and just say, I'm going to turn that into a frog. The Lightning Storm is your AoE I find this, again, we kind of explained why we had 2 of these versus the 2 Maelstrom and 1 Lightning Storm. I know it's not the best bang for your buck. Technically, you're spending 5 mana to do 2 to 3 damage, but I found if you can combo this with Azure Drake, Spell Power, Totem, and or Blood Mage, most of the time you're going to be able to clear off their board. Also, keep in mind that 2 to 3 damage is going to be able to clear out the field on most early game decks, and what they play but turns 1 and 4 or 5 most of the time have around, you know, that 2 to 4 HP mark, which if you have Spell Power down, it's going to be able to kill. The 1 Mana Tide is your draw to the deck, on top of course, the Azure Drake and the Blood Mage. You'll find that eventually in this deck, later on in the game, you might run out of steam because you just don't have the draw, but if you portion your plays out and you don't overextend, because this deck does have the ability to overextend very quickly and play a lot of your cards early on, just like aggro or mid-range Shaman, but you really don't want to do that with this deck. You can hold back, bait the AoEs, get them out of the way, and then just go in with like a Bran into Jade Spirit, or Jade Spirit and Jade Claws later on in the game. It's just, it's really, really good. So I figured that the 1 Mana Tide was enough for this deck. The Jade Lightning is a super staple in the Jade Golem Shaman decks. It's even found in aggro and mid-range. It's that good. You don't even have to just solely play it in Jade, a Jade specific deck. The Jade Spirit is your kind of your just go-to Jade card that fits in any Jade Golem deck. Unfortunately, there's not a better replacement. It's not my favorite Jade card to play, but it gets the ball rolling with the Jade Golems, so it's kind of just like we have to play it because it's there. It also synergizes well with Bran. The Azure Drake, not only for the draw, the spell power, and all of the Dragon Priests and whatnot on ladder playing Dragonfire Potion. It lives against the Dragonfire Potion. It's a 4/4, so they can't kill it. It's just overall a really solid card, and you'll find this particular card in a lot of different decks, whether it's, you know, mid, late game, aggro, it doesn't matter. Wide Eyes, this is just a super solid card. It's a 5/5 with 5. It has Taunt, and it says Death Rattle, summon a Storm Guardian into your deck. The Storm Guardian is a 5 mana 10/10 with Taunt, so you're getting a lot of value out of this guy. And because, again, this deck isn't trying to win in the first 4 or 5 turns of the game, this is not an aggro Shaman, a lot of times you're going to be able to get some decent value out of Wide Eyes. Black Paw, again, kind of just like the Jade Golem staple card in most decks, or most Jade Golem decks. She's just a ton of value, and your opponent needs to get rid of her. Most likely they're going to use, you know, their Hex, their Polymorph, or whatever they can to get rid of her, and if not, then she's just going to be able to get so much value with the Jade Golems. Thing from Below, I found this pretty interesting. Due to the fact that we're not playing any heal in the deck, I found that playing taunts are pretty important. That's why we're running 2 Feral Spirits, the Wide Eyes, and the Thing from Belows, along with the Jade Chieftains. So the taunts are basically acting as your healing cards because they have to kill them first, and so that's basically why your Thing from Below is in there in particular, because it's not really a card that we're going to see a ton of right now, because it's actually gotten cut from a lot of the aggro Shaman lists. But also in the early game of this deck, if you don't manage to draw your Tunnel Trogs or your Totem Golem, you're going to be hero powering a lot, and I kind of want that hero power to get something. Like if you don't have Thing from Belows in your deck and you're hero powering in the early game and you're also not running Flame Tongue Totem, your totems aren't really doing too much, but at least with having Thing from Below in the deck and your hero powering earlier on, you're at least buffing this guy, making him so he costs less. So that was kind of my thought process behind that. And of course, the Jade Chieftain, really powerful Jade summoning card. He's a 5/5 on its own. You're basically paying 2 mana to give your summon a Jade Golem and give it Taunt. And mostly by the time you play the Chieftain, you're summoning a 4/4 or 5/5 with Taunt or higher. And especially if you combo this with Bran, your opponent's not going to really know what to do. But depending on who you're playing against, of course, you can go ahead and Bran Jade Claws and Jade Spirit in the same turn. So it depends who you're playing and kind of what you're going to combo with, but most of the times you can Bran and play any of the Jade Spirit, the Black Paw, the Jade Chieftain, or the Claws, and one of them should be fine to give you enough value. I've had many times that I've been able to Bran into Jade Claws on 5 and the players just concede. So with that said, that's our deck list. Hopefully that answers any questions regarding it right away, and then from here we're going to head into those ranked games, which I know you guys want to see this deck into action, so let's go ahead and head over there. So heading into our first game here, we are playing against a Druid. More than likely, he's going to be playing a form of Jade Golem Druid himself, which means we basically want to do the same thing he's going to do, but faster. This is a pretty decent starting hand. Tunnel Trog and a Totem Golem is always nice. Feral Spirit doesn't really make too much sense because we're going to be overloaded on 2 into 3. So we're basically looking for a 2-drop that's not too bad. Maybe another Totem Golem would have been nice. Any Jade Golem cards would have been good because the sooner we start pumping those guys out, the better. I'm going to go ahead and reduce the sound here just a little bit because it is a little loud on my side here. There we go. So it looks like he's going to be playing the Token Druid, which is very, very surprising. Normally you don't really see Token Druid at all. So we're going to go ahead and trade into this egg. This particular match is going to be all about board control and being able to basically make sure he has no minions out on the board for when he goes ahead and Soul the Forest, Savage Roars, or has any sort of field buffing ability. Okay, so it looks like he's playing the exact replica of Jackie Chan's Token Druid, if I'm correct. So we could probably go ahead here and just Jade Claws, attack into the Lance Carrier, and go face for 3. The more damage we put on, the sooner, the better. Keep in mind that this deck still has the aggressive early game with the Tunnel Trog, the Jade Claws, and the Totem Golem, along with the Feral Spirits, but it also has that really nice late game. We just got wrecked by a Dread Corsair. Not a Dread Corsair, but a Bloodsail Corsair. So it literally is an exact replica of the Jackie Chan version. So next turn we can go ahead and Feral Spirits, and then the option is, do we trade into the Corsair or not? And I think we actually are. Well, that's 5 damage. That feels really bad. Because next turn he can go Defender of Argus, and I know his deck runs 2 of them. So we're actually going to play around Defender of Argus by attacking into that. Seems really silly, but we're not going to win this game by pushing super fast damage face. We're going to win this through outvaluing and being able to pump out some giant Jade Chieftains. And a Lance Carrier, now we can make another pretty reasonable trade on his behalf. Next turn we can go Blood Mage, or we can go Hero Power. If we go Hero Power, we're going to be looking for that sweet healing totem, most likely. Plays around quite a few things. Or we could just go with another Feral Spirit. That seems pretty good, buffing our Tunnel Trog even more for a 7-2. And there's not going to be really much this Token Druid is going to be able to do about this. We have 4 cards on the board. All of them are pretty resilient. We have Hero Power, Blood Mage next turn, along with whatever we draw, whether it be a Jade Lightning, a Jade Spirit, or anything like that. So he's pushing for the more control Hero Power. I don't think it's really going to save him, but yeah. Our start was pretty nice. We didn't draw into any of our Jade cards, but this shows that even without, you know, even without drawing into our Jade Claws, this deck can still push and win on its own, even though the main, again, focus is definitely the Jade Golems. Unfortunately, the only Jade Golems that we brought out were from the Jade Claws, but we played that game very aggressively based on what we saw him playing, of course. If he was playing, even if he was playing a Jade Golem Druid, I think we would have played it about the same, but we would have maybe made less trades, and definitely probably wouldn't have traded our 5-3 into a 1-2, knowing that he doesn't have buffs in that particular, like, Jade Druid deck. Or Jade, yeah, Jade Druid. Jade Golem Druid, yeah. All right, so this goes back, and I even think Mana Tide's going to go back. I like keeping the Jade Claws in the opening hand for sure. All of the rest of the cards are basically either too late or pretty situational. Like in the early game, we're definitely not worried about drawing cards, so keeping Mana Tide doesn't really make sense, right? Like, we have plenty of cards in our hand for the time being. So now we have to figure out, he's definitely playing Shaman, but we have to figure out what kind of Shaman he's playing, so our game plan can kind of curve to what we need to beat him. All right, Buccaneer tells us he's most likely running either he could be running mid-range, he could be running, or the aggro version, of course. I think our best bet, we could coin into Totem Golem, but I think it's a little bit too slow. Meanwhile, if we coin into Jade Claws, we're going to have 1 mana next turn. That doesn't really feel that great either. But if he has a weapon, then he's going to be able to trade, or he can go face, and then we'd have to trade, and then he can trade. So I think the coin into the Jade Claws is actually the most proactive thing we can do right now. Not only is this going to be able to definitely survive 2 turns, it's guaranteed to kill the small-time Buccaneer, which we know is most likely going to be pushing at least 1 to 3 damage next turn based on if he has a weapon. If he doesn't have a weapon, perfectly okay. But if he has a weapon now, it makes it a little bit better for us, guaranteed that he's not going to play a creature that does recurring damage versus a weapon that actually has a durability. So I valued killing his Buccaneer over playing a creature because we could have remove it right away and we can test this patches. And if he uses a weapon like a 2/2 Jade Claws and clears this 1/1, this 1/1 sucked up 2 damage and he only has 2 1/1s on the board, setting up a decent Maelstrom, or we could go ahead and Totem Golem, or just whatever. It all depends. And we have the Hex for the 4-drop 7/7 if he's playing that card. So this hand is actually pretty reasonable. PNP. Very interesting. So Spirit Claws, of course, going to trade there to keep his 1/1 alive. Okay. So now the question is, do we Jade Claws into his 1/1 or do we save it because it's going to die to the Maelstrom portal regardless? That's the decision we have to make. And if we can draw into a Tunnel Trog, that would probably be our best bet. Jade Spirit's not too much. So now we're going to have to figure out what do we want to do about this 1/1. So his turn 3... if he plays Feral Spirits, Maelstrom attack doesn't do too much. Totem Golem sets us up for a bad 4-drop. So I guess the best thing is just to wait. Because if we play Totem Golem next turn, then we can't play Jade Spirit the turn after. Okay. This is fun. So we're going to go ahead and Maelstrom. Ooh, that really doesn't help us too much. This is going to go down to 1. Ouch. He's put me in a pickle. I really wish I could Blood Mage Maelstrom Portal, but unfortunately we're 1 mana off. If we go ahead and Totem Golem, next turn we can't play the Blood Mage Maelstrom Portal. If we just Hero Power now, I think it's the strongest play, and then we do nothing. Next turn is Blood Mage Maelstrom. It's going to clear the board. I can afford to take 4 damage as long as he doesn't roll Spell Power. Because I think he might run... if he plays the 4-drop 7/7, I guess we have to Hex that. So it would have been a mistake not... but even if we Maelstrom, it only kills this 1/1, and it brings this down to 1, which means we're going to have to attack the weapon into there. So basically our Maelstrom killed a 1/1 because we have no way to kill this small-time Buccaneer. So I think our best bet was to basically just wait and hope he doesn't have the 4-drop 7/7. Because then we're not forced to Hex. So if we can dodge this 4-drop 7/7 and we can play into the Wide Eyes, I think we're going to be in a pretty good position. And then from Wide Eyes, we could go into the Jade Spirit, Totem Golem all in 1 turn, putting 3 creatures on the board. And he's either going to have to Hex or Lava Burst down that Wide Eyes. Okay, so it looks like he's pushing a more mid-rangey version, which is really nice. Okay. So like I said, we're going to go ahead and drop the Blood Mage. We can Maelstrom Portal, clean up the rest of this board. We got this guy. Too bad his Battle Cry doesn't trigger, and I really don't think we use our weapon to kill this 3/4. There's really no point to do that. And by killing it, I mean just weakening it, and there's no point to do that. We know our next turn is going to consist of either a Totem Golem, maybe whatever we draw, or just a Wide Eyes, or maybe we just go with the Jade Spirit. If he does nothing else here, I might go with the Jade Spirit because one of these cards is most likely going to be Hex. And if we just play Wide Eyes and it gets Hex, that feels pretty terrible. But meanwhile, if we start developing these Jade Golems, we're going to be able to beat him in the early mid-game. Or the later mid-game. Tunnel Trog, Totem Golem. Looks pretty good. If we can get a 2 mana, that feels pretty nice. If not, we could go just Jade Spirit, Tunnel Trog, but then the Tunnel Trog just dies to the Water Speaker, which I don't really like that much. I also really do not like Wide Eyes onto this board with 4 cards in hand. The fact that he hero powered with 4 mana, that just doesn't feel right, right? There's probably not a lot of good going on in that hand, so I think I'm just going to go with the Jade Spirit here. And now the question is, do we attack this Taunt Totem? Probably not, right? Probably not. And if we play Tunnel Trog, it's going to get hit by this. That's really not the worst thing if we play Tunnel Trog, but then it gives him a better Lightning Storm if he rolls Spell Power. So I think I'm going to hold back. We'll see what he does here. Because normally if we play Tunnel Trog, he makes this nice trade right here. Let's say he kills one of these 2/2s. And then this 2/2 swings into taunt, and then our weapon can kill this guy. That's the only reason we play the Tunnel Trog, is because he'd want to make that easy trade there. And he was hoping to roll spell power to kill this 2/3, but he didn't. We've already used one Maelstrom, which means there's a couple more AoEs in our deck. Haven't drawn them yet. 20 cards in, 2/3 remaining. He probably has a Hex. He hero powered again, which means he doesn't have a Zerdrake, so I definitely see some form of Hex. Definitely not a Lava Burst. We might have a Bloodlust in there. If he's running Water Speaker, he most likely has like a Bloodlust in there. It's kind of hard to see his cards. Can you guys see them? No, we know one of these is a Hex, one of them is a Bloodlust, and I'm not really sure what these other two are. I don't think it's a Lava Burst because it's not the kind of deck he's playing. Could be another weapon. Flame Tongue Totem makes sense. Trades into this, okay. It's interesting that he wouldn't, I guess he was looking for spell power first, but normally you'd like trade with the taunt and then re-roll and look for another taunt, but this being a healing totem means I can attack. Oh, shit. We might actually have to Hex this 7/5. That feels kind of bad. Ooh. Well, okay, so let's think. So if we Hex, we have 3 remaining, which means we would Tunnel Trog, Totem Golem. I suppose. Doesn't feel good, but it's all we got. Unfortunately, this 5/2 is going to do work on our face. And we can't play this Wide Eyes because of Hex. We need a Lightning Bolt or a Jade Lightning this game for sure. Or a Lightning Storm. Like a Lightning Storm would have been fine because it clears this. It most likely kills this Flame Tongue, kills this. Or if we just had a Lightning Bolt, we could have Azure Drake Lightning Bolt, and then the Azure Drake basically contests that. Then we could just Maelstrom. But unfortunately, we're stuck with it. Basically, a handful of creatures. We've got the Tunnel Trog, we got the Totem Golem, Thing from Below, Drake, Jade Spirit, and Wide Eyes. So having all creatures when you know your opponent has a Hex does not feel the greatest. So it looks like he's going to Jade Lightning off our 3/4, which feels kind of bad. That was one of the cards I thought was going to be Hex. So Hex has to be one of these two. I'm just really scared to play this Wide Eyes, guys. I could be holding it for too long, though, which could be a mistake. He rolls Spell Power, 30% chance to clear that. Keeping his Water Speaker alive. That feels really bad, too. Healing Totem heals that back up. Chieftain, 1 mana off playing him. If we go ahead and we play the Jade Spirit, we don't have Taunt to protect us, which means we're taking at least 8 damage, putting us at 8. He has 3 cards in hand. Problem is, if we play Wide Eyes and he Hex it, we lose the game. So the only thing we can truly do here is just Jade Spirit, Hero Power, and hopefully he doesn't have lethal and we can roll Taunt. Nice. This next turn is Jade Chieftain. Or we could go like Wide Eyes into Thing from Below, but the problem is he's had a decent board for the past 2 to 3 turns, and this Flame Tongue Totem's continuously getting large quantities of value. So we needed a Lightning Storm sometime in this game. Maelstrom was nice, but I would have to say Lightning was definitely far superior. Because if we had Lightning, then I wouldn't have used it when we used it, and we would have just played the Totem Golem out. He would have had to make some trades, and we wouldn't have played the Jade Essence or the Jade Spirit on 4. We would have pushed back this to 6. We would have played Wide Eyes on curve. It would have got hexed, but that would have followed up with the Jade Spirit. He wouldn't have been able to develop because he hexed on that turn instead of playing, what did he play? I think from the Thing from Below. So he Maelstroms, kills our Taunt, damages this. He's going to make the value trade there. He probably should just even trade the healing because it's going to pop over to the spell power and he's still going to be able to push 7. Unfortunately, it does leave his Water Speaker weak to Lightning Storm. Yeah, I think this is going to wrap up this game right here. There's too much on the board. Yeah, just drawing all creatures and no spells really dampens this. Alright, so that'll be our 1 loss in the deck, guide. Unfortunately, this is just some of the stuff that I don't think we drew a single spell that entire time besides the Maelstrom portal, which was very unfortunate. Not a single spell. Spells are important. Oh, Hex. You're exactly right. All right, so we're playing against another Shaman, the Redemption match. So let's see if we can follow up with something much better than what occurred last game. So it looks like we're going to be dumping everything in this opening hand and looking for Tunnel Trogs, Totem Golems, Jade Claws, Feral Spirits, things of that nature. He replaced, I think, 2 cards, kept the one on the right. The Tunnel Trog's nice, but everything else is pretty rickety. Thing from Below is definitely not something you want in your opening hand. Neither is the Drake and neither is the Jade Spirit. So it looks like he didn't draw patches. He played it the correct way, unlike how we play it sometimes. So I guess we're just going to start with the Tunnel Trog because it's the only thing we have. Worst case scenario, he has the Jade Claws. That'd be pretty bad. Spirit Claws is pretty bad as well. Yeah, I was about to say, why would you ever trade your weapon? You can just easily trade this. Alright. So if we play Totem Golem, we can't coin Jade Spirit or coin Jade Lightning. We'd be stuck at 3 mana. I don't think we have time for that. We need to kind of hold back as much, like we don't want a repeat of last game, which forces out the Totem Golem. And also, there was merit to maybe holding back the Tunnel Trog there, but I kind of had to just hope he doesn't have the weapon to follow up with the Buccaneer in that particular situation, because if he kills it the way he did, we get really far behind. But if we do nothing and we have nothing to play, we didn't even have a turn 2 play, like Tunnel Trog is all we had until turn 4, it just really hurts our curve and whatnot. And we're going to take like large quantities of damage. It's a very interesting trade he made, because he knows we're going to trade into this small time Buccaneer next turn. That was a really nice draw. So we could trade into this healing totem, or we could trade for the damage. I'm going to trade to remove the damage as soon as possible. So his turn 4, it's kind of hard to say. Maybe Jade Lightning, okay. I was hoping he didn't have the best turn 4 card. I was maybe looking at like a Feral Spirits off the top or something, but that's definitely a bummer. So because he played that, the Maelstrom does look enticing, but I like coining out the Jade Spirit or the Thing from Below. I kind of like the Jade Spirit though. We need to get the ball rolling on these Jade Golems. We can Maelstrom Portal at any time and kill this patches. Like these 1/1s don't make me really want a Jade or Maelstrom Portal. So next turn we could go like Hero Power, Thing from Below. We go Azure Drake. We can Jade Lightning off this guy. Okay, so Spell Power Totem's looking pretty tasty. Makes this trade. Does he decide to kill this somehow? No, he's just going face. Okay. Hex doesn't change too much, so we have to Jade Lightning this 3, and then we basically don't make an... Well, if we make the attack, the healing totem's out. Yeah, there's no reason to make the attack. We want him to make the attack. Yeah, the mid-range Shaman it could be too fast for this deck. That's what it's looking like. We have the Hex, which is super nice for the 7/7. So ideally, we want him to... That was bad for us. He's making Maelstrom Portal a lot less worthy. Okay, so we Hex this. Now we only have, we can't Hero Power and fit that in, so it's basically Maelstrom Portal. See if we can get some good stuff. Unfortunately, no good stuff for us. He's going to be overloaded too, so he's at 5, so ideally we just don't want him to have Azure Drake, and we can make a pretty solid comeback with the Aya. Depending on what he draws here, though. Or what he plays. Totem Golem, not too bad. Oh god, what's that other card? Not a Feral Spirits, please. A Hero Power would be best. Thank you. We're at 16, so he's going to start just pushing as much damage possible. And these 2 cards can kill this Spirit Wolf, which is really nice. So ideally, we want him to attack this 1/1. That'd be like the silliest thing he can do. Because it's going to die next turn anyway. Alright, so Maelstrom Portal or Lightning Storm is our best draw. Lightning Bolt... Not the worst, not the best. So if we play Azure Drake, we can Lightning Bolt. If we play Blackpaw, we can we Hero Power Thing from Below. I don't think there's really a purpose to do that. This can kill this, which is actually there's merit to play the Drake there. We know this is happening 100% of the time. The question is, do we Blackpaw Lightning Bolt the 2/1, leave this 3/4 alive? Do we Hero Power, look for Spell Power, Thing from Below? Maybe get Spell Power, kill the Totem Golem, or we just Aya? I think we Aya. Now the question is, what do we Lightning Bolt? think we Lightning Bolt this 2-1. Because the Aya is going to be able to kill this 3-4, and if he kills the Aya, it's going to make a 4-4, and the 4-4 can kill the 3-4 too. And we have the hero power. We have the taunt. Stop the weapons from now on. It's just we don't want him to have face damage like that. Don't draw any more face damage, please. And he has a Lightning Bolt. Jeez. All right, so Lightning Storm. And hopefully he doesn't draw any more face damage. Okay, so we know this is getting played with Thing from Below, which means we're going to hero power 100% of the time. That doesn't change anything. This gets played. This gets played. This trades here 100% of the time. This trades here 100% of the time. And as long as he just doesn't draw direct damage, we can easily win this. He just can't. He's already used double Jade Lightning and a Lightning Bolt. So he has another Jade Lightning left, and I believe he has another Lightning Bolt. If not a Lava Burst if he runs those. That's good. So we're going to look for some field clear with this. So let's actually look for lethal here. We have 4 here. We have 4 here. We have 5 here. So that's 13, 14, 19. We do not have it. So I think our best bet is to probably go for the board clear. And then we'll just win next turn. Seems pretty reasonable. Okay, this goes here. Is there any reason to make trades into his creatures? Probably not. Bloodlust. I guess we could play around Bloodlust. So if we want to play around Bloodlust, is there any point to kill Spell Power Totem versus the Jade Golem? We know this goes face 100% of the time, and this goes face, right? I guess Lava Burst. So if we're going to play around... No, we can't play around that. There's no point. Okay, so if he draws damage, we lose. And if he doesn't draw damage, we should win. I guess if he rolls a taunt. But even if he rolls a taunt, we can Jade Claws. Oh, that was really bad. That was extremely bad because he was able to kill our way to lethal. Oh, do we still have lethal? What is this? 10, 15, 17, and he had taunt totem. So we actually needed to draw our out there. We actually didn't have lethal, but if he's going to concede, I'll take it. So the better thing to do there was trade our 5/5 into it, but that plays into like him having, yeah. I prefer to kill off not the taunt guy in that particular situation, and killing the spell power totem doesn't make sense because we're dead to any spell regardless. At 2 HP, like if we were at 4, then maybe killing it to play around lightning bolt makes sense, but because we're at 2, like lightning bolt kill, like doesn't matter what spell he has, it's killing us. The only thing we needed to watch out for was like a hex, and then him if he had 2 creatures up, but even if we left the 2/2 up, a hex, then he would have to attack the taunt. So there was stuff there. Alright, so we have a pretty solid early game. If this is Dragon Priest, I actually don't mind this hand at all, because we have Tunnel Trog and a Totem Golem. Our turn 3 is not going to be anything anyway besides hero power, and then we have Jade Spirit on 4. So this is a really nice curve. But I would have to say definitely a weakness of this deck is the mid-range Shaman. If we don't draw just like a balls to the walls opener, just because of how fast the deck is. Any deck that's just a tidbit slower, I think this deck will do just fine. Dragon Priest is also another deck that's extremely fast if they can draw their dragons. Just every turn's like a super powerful dragon. So we're just going to have to hope that he has a little bit slower of a curve. And our hand, like I said, is pretty decent. So next turn, if we Jade Claws, then we can't Jade Spirit. We'd be playing the Feral Spirits, but I think Hero Power is fine in this situation because we don't want to play too heavily into Dragonfire Potion. Because again, this deck isn't going to win. Like, if we were just trying to win as fast as possible, we'd be playing aggro or mid-range. We would not be playing the Jade Golem. So, just going to Hero Power here and just go face. This makes their thing from below in our hand a lot better. Hero powering there. If we Jade Claws, we're not killing anything with the weapon. It's not helping us. We're making a Totem Golem or a Jade Golem, but it's only going to be a 1/1, and then we're playing this guaranteed on turn 4 anyway, making a 2/2. He Dragonfires. Everything we've kind of pushed is dead. Meanwhile, if we just Jade Spirit next turn and he Dragonfires, granted he did kill creatures, but at least we have this that's going to summon a 2/2 in the weapon, Feral Spirits, and Thing from Below still in the hand. So we still have a pretty sizable amount of potential left in there. So this priest would be our 3 wins, right? We got our 1 loss in there. We have 2 wins right now under our belt, and we've played against mostly different classes, and we had our redemption game. Okay, so he's going to go with the Bran, which makes playing the Spirit Claws a little more enticing, right? Due to the fact that we're actually... Or we could just go with the Feral Spirits and then trade there. That also makes sense. So it's between Jade Claw's hero power, and then we would basically just trade our weapon and then probably trade the Totem Golem. Or we will Feral Spirits and play a little bit more heavily into like, I like the Jade Claw's hero power here. So we know this is trading, and we're actually gonna trade our Totem Golem because this guy's capped at 3 HP. Meanwhile, this Totem, our Tunnel Trog, is gonna be able to heal up. Plus, this is gonna heal this, and if we hit this, this goes down to 1, healing it at 2. And we actually played around coining Holy Nova because that only kills the right side of our board, not the actual creatures that are doing things. Meanwhile, Feral Spirits, he coins and he Excavated Evil, everything dies. This particular play, everything dies, but at least we're not super overloaded. Kazakis, let's see how fast he picks it. He's going for, it looked like he went for the 1 mana, to be completely honest. He clicked the very most left one, but I could be wrong. That one was a little bit slow. All right, so he probably got a decent potion based on his current picks. Does he coin into it? He does not. Do we want to develop? Probably not. If he has the deal 4 damage to everything, this particular play is a lot more enticing. So we could trade off one of ours. So it's either trade our minion because he has the 4 damage to everything and we get rid of our weapon, or we trade our weapon and our 1/1 and hope he doesn't have the 4 damage to everything. How much do we value this weapon? Well, we know he's playing Reno, so he's only playing 1-ofs. Yeah, I'll play around it. I'll hold a weapon back. I'll make the assumption he got the deal 4 damage to everything, saving us both 3 HP and our weapon charge. So he's coining into 6-drop, and he's targeting it. Entomb? Holy Fire. Okay. I wouldn't have guessed that particular play, but that works as well. I suppose I'll Wide Eyes here. And then swing with everything. The reason I'm going to Wide Eyes over anything else is, again, just AoE clear. If he kills the Wide Eyes, he's putting a really good card in our deck. And since he used Holy Fire and he coined into it, I highly doubt he had Entomb, or most likely that would have been the card he played. I guess if he didn't have the Holy Fire. But if he has Entomb and Holy Fire, I suppose you'd Holy Fire over Entombing the 5/5. That would definitely make sense. I'm going to make the assumption he doesn't have Entomb. So the Ooze is going to kill the weapon that we saved. So saving the Tunnel Trog, or not saving the Tunnel Trog, was actually a big mistake there. It's hard to say after the fact, but as we can see now, it was not the correct play. Alright, so let's take a look at what we got going on the board. Azure Drake looks pretty good. Mana Tide looks nice. Again, overextending on the board feels just really terrible. Attacking there makes sense, I like it, and then probably going face with everything else. Do we play the Jade Spirit? I think we can. Actually, if we do, we're actually going to put too many cards on the board. So I guess we could just Drake. Because Drake's going to draw a card anyway. This is going to force AoE if he has it, and then we could just go Bran into Jade Spirit. The reason I chose Azure Drake over the Mana Tide is the Mana Tide, I believe, has a little bit more value long-term. Plus, the Azure Drake, if he doesn't have this, then it was game. And he definitely does have a dragon in his hand. So we're definitely going to... We don't have a way to directly deal with this. It's going to deal 3 damage to everything, which is going to kill everything, which is unfortunate. So I suppose we have to do this. We have to do this. Things die a terrible nature. Did we have lethal? This did 6. This is 4. No, that was not lethal. So I guess we're just gonna brand into Jade Spirit. And then we're gonna have lethal again. He's gonna use the potion, deal 4 damage to everything. I still think he has it. I think he's been hanging on tight. He's either hanging on to Reno real tight or he's hanging on to that potion. Summon a 5/5, gain 5/7 armor. That's definitely not the deal 4 damage. We played around it though. I think we did. I think it's worth playing around it. If we were playing aggro, I would have said balls to the walls, cowgirl, let's go. Cowgirl, let's go. I don't care about it. But because we were playing a more control-based shaman, I think it's okay because we can easily outlast Reno Priest. I mean, how many cards in their deck are going to be able to handle all these Jade Shamans? Anyway, this is 5, that's 9, and this is 11, that's 13, that's 16, and that's 18, and he's currently at 18. So I believe that is lethal. Might as well just hero power anyway. Didn't get spell power, but I think it doesn't matter. And there it goes. Sweet, exact lethal. Alright guys, well, the Jade Golem Shaman pushing us to, is that what our rank 3? Ah, it is our rank 3. Feels good, looks good, does good. Alright, so let's take a print screen of that. Okay, awesome. Well, hopefully you enjoyed the deck. It's I figured because we played the aggro shaman and we did the deck guide on that, we kind of had to redeem ourselves by playing something a little bit different and, in my opinion, a lot cooler and has a lot more diversity. And it has the ability to, of course, win versus the early game decks, but it also has the ability to definitely win versus the more control-based decks, like we saw the Reno Priest and we didn't play any of them, but there's definitely does well against the Reno Lock, and of course the Dragon Priest, which we didn't play, but it does well against that as well. So with that said, hopefully you've enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next episode, of course. I'm Rob, and happy whatever the hell day it is.